Texas, where the legal back and forth over the highly restrictive abortion law is just getting started.
There's a law in Texas, the fetal heartbeat law, that has been challenged and includes now a challenge by the Department of Justice.
The tough abortion law was first struck down last week by a federal judge, only to be reinstated within 2 days by the Fifth Circuit Court of Appeals.
On Friday, Texas went to the Fifth Circuit Appeals Court, and the Fifth Circuit Appeals Court granted an administrative stay. So as it stands right now, this law banning abortions effectively is in effect in Texas.
After the law was halted, some providers say they did open their doors for abortion services, but now they could be in legal jeopardy for doing so.
It's ironic that Planned Parenthood needed the help of the Department of Justice here. They have the right to do it, DOJ, to enter into it, obviously, but it just tells you where the administration is on these issues and, frankly, what the outcome is going to be as far as their staying involvement. The Department of Justice is going to stay engaged in this.
The U.S. Justice Department taking aim at Texas's new abortion law, calling on a federal appellate court to halt the abortion ban for now, while its suit challenging the new law is appealed.
We're at a point in our nation's history where this debate over when life begins and when life in the womb merits protection is really raging in the states. I mean, we're talking about the Texas law today that protects life after a heartbeat, but you've also got that law in Mississippi that's heading for the Supreme Court. They would restrict abortion after 15 weeks of age. So you really are seeing the process play out in a way that our founders envisioned.
The ultimate fate of the Texas law likely lies with the nation's highest court, which previously refused to block the law from taking effect without ruling on its constitutionality.
We are in the Supreme Court of the United States with 3 briefs. We're at the 8th Circuit Court of Appeals. We're in a trial court. We're about in the 3rd Circuit in New Jersey. So we are heavily vested in standing up for life.
The Presidential Commission on the Supreme Court of the United States. They have issued a 200-page draft. This is not the final, but a draft report of their findings.
Before people make major changes in the court, I would like them to read or otherwise understand what I've written and to think about it pretty deeply.
This is page 14 of their report. There are other reasons to believe expansion of the court efforts might have negative effects on the Supreme Court's long-term legitimacy or otherwise undermine its role in our legal system. Court expansion today could lead to a continuous cycle of future expansions. Dad, this is what we all knew. I don't know why it took 25 law professors who can't even put the actual formal document out yet, that's coming in November, to figure out what a average person who follows politics could figure out, is that this would be a never-ending cycle.
What we know is that this commission has not embraced what so many progressives were hoping they would embrace, which is adding more justices to the court.
Not only would it be a never-ending cycle, look at the parameters it would set for the rest of the country. I mean, it's just think about that for a moment, that we're going to have the judiciary now controlled at the whim of the executive. I mean, there was a reason we had separation of powers.
One of the new ideas that President Biden's Supreme Court Commission is exploring. The commission writes, giving each president 2 nominees per term would go a long way toward reducing the partisan rancor of the confirmation process and lower the stakes for appointments.
We're tinkering with something that has served our country very, very well for a very long time, since our founding. When you start messing with this, you are messing with the way we balance our constitutional powers. And that is very, very dangerous.
The U.S. wrapping a 2-day meeting with the Taliban in Doha late last night. It marks the first face-to-face interaction since the botched U.S. withdrawal from Afghanistan and the Taliban takeover.
The U.S. delegation met with the Taliban in their first high-level talks since our pullout of Afghanistan. This was to try to have one of those meetings, with a diplomatic meeting. It's like, you're going to hold up your end, right? You're going to be good. You're going to make sure Al-Qaeda stays out. You're going to, stick to what we agreed upon.
From the State Department, this is Ned Price. Quote, the discussions were candid and professional, with the U.S. delegation reiterating that the Taliban will be judged on its actions, not only its words. The U.S. delegation focused on security and terrorism concerns and safe passage for U.S. citizens, other foreign nationals, and our Afghan partners, as well as on human rights, including the meaningful participation of women and girls in all aspects of Afghan society.
They'll be judged by their actions, not only in their words. We're already seeing a return to the dark ages of Afghanistan, where women are oppressed, minorities are oppressed, religious minorities are oppressed and being killed for their faith or their gender or their race. This is something that is already reverted back to by the Taliban in just the last month. And yet they're saying they'll be judged on their actions, not only their words.
We are basically hoping that one terrorist organization will stop another terrorist organization from being active in the region. I mean, this is crazy. But look, how do we respond to that? We have to be strong. As a military, we have to project strength. That's what our enemies, that's the only thing that they understand is strength.
They'll just say, well, we're negotiating now because, we have all of this financial things that we can impact them with, not give them billions and trillions of dollars. How about we don't do that in the first place? No? Does that not seem like a good enough plan? Maybe we shouldn't be funding the Taliban?
Iran was the focus of talks Wednesday at the State Department between Secretary of State Antony Blinken and his counterparts from Israel and the United Arab Emirates.
We are prepared to return to full compliance with the JCPOA if Iran does the same. What we are seeing, or maybe more accurately not seeing, from Tehran now suggests that they're not.
Are we at a situation now where, as Iran ups the ante and the United States lowers the pressure, which is precisely what's happening here, are we at a situation where what we're going to see develop, is a nuclear region?
How do you sell to the American people that it'd be worth, unfreezing $10 billion in assets to go to the Ayatollah and the Islamic Republic of Iran? You scare them.
The deal itself, even if you thought Iran was always going to comply with it, actually guaranteed that they became a nuclear power. That was the goal under the Obama administration. I have no reason to believe that it's any different now.
We are prepared to remove all of the sanctions that were imposed by the Trump administration that were inconsistent with the deal, and therefore we could get back to the business that we should have been on.
The Iranians have bided their time. They've gone through the horrors that they faced at the Trump administration, who clamped down on them, and they said, this too will pass. It always does. And then Biden comes in, and as Jordan said, is giving conflicting or seemingly conflicting signals.
We've talked about the warnings of consensus, and that's where we are with the Iranian regime. The Biden team wants consensus with the Iranians, which means they're going to stake out a position, we're going to stake out a position, and we're just going to cut it in half. And that doesn't protect America, it doesn't protect Israel. It's a dangerous, slippery slope.